Good morning, everyone. Hope you did sleep well, and the last night wasn't that long as mine. I'm gonna do my best to do the presentation. First of all, I'm not at goal, unfortunately. That was a last-minute change. Paddy, the organizer, asked me to jump in and do my presentation. So basically, I'm going to talk about my motorcycle trip to Up on a BMW. And I called it something now. So basically, my attempt was travel around the world, from London to London, heading east. But unfortunately, because of COVID, I couldn't manage to do so. So halfway around the world, which I managed to do, and I would like to give you my idea of what is going to make you a traveler. Let me start with introducing ourselves. Me, Aron Molnar, I'm Hungarian. I'm living and working in the UK, near London. And my girlfriend, Stefan Raven, unfortunately, she's my ex-girlfriend. We're not together anymore. Basically, we did the trip together, and after that, we found ourselves in a situation which we couldn't resolve. But we did the trip together. The name of the trip was ASGOEAST. Aron, Stephanie going east, and it's coming from the names Aron, Stephanie going east. This is the bike, Nora. Really surprising name, Aron backwards my name. And this is a 2009 GSA. Already had like 24,000 miles on it at the point where we started. So this is the bike, how it looked like when it's loaded. So normal equipment like the two side boxes. We had the two jerry cans, one for water, one for fuel. That's the personal luggage on each side. At the back we have the camping gear, the tank bag, the toolboxes on the side, the tool bags, and in the front we also had like two camping chairs attached. So we were quite heavily overloaded, sitting two up. I've done a quick calculation just before we left. Roughly the luggage we were carrying as an extra was 60-70 kilograms. So two persons, that was basically three up. The bike did it perfectly, surprisingly well. And this is how the camping setup looked like. So as soon as you got off all your stuff, the personal belongings in the front of the tent, and this is the sleeping area. So this is how we spent most of the time, 10 months traveling around. This is the overall view of what happened. We left in 2019, in June. We had a really nice send-off in Wales from Horizons Unlimited. That was really lovely. And then we spent 282 days traveling. As you can see, pretty much went all around everywhere. Europe, the Balkans. We went to Hungary, visiting my parents for a few days, a couple of weeks actually. And then we headed down Romania, towards Turkey, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Russia. And the reason we didn't get any closer to this joining point is because the two countries are just not touching. There is like 27 miles in between the two, whereas above Russia and below is China. And that 27 miles to get around was like 1,200 kilometers to go up north and go back down to Mongolia again. So from Mongolia, we got hit by the winter. So basically it started snowing and it was really uncomfortably cold. So we decided to ride all the way up to the Lake Baikal, Ulan-Ude, and we met a girl who actually been helping us to organize the trip to Vladivostok. So basically we took the Trans-Siberian Railway for us and for the bike as well. It is possible to put the bike on a train, not on the same train as you traveling with, but it's going to get transported down to Vladivostok. And this is where the first slap in the face came. because the trip organizer, Yuri, was telling us that, oh, where do you want to go? Oh, we would like to go somewhere in between, that lovely, tropical area. He said, nah, forget it. I mean, you can do it, but Vladivostok is more like a ship port rather than an airport. We do have airports, but it's not going to happen. If you're going to send it from here to there, to Java, then it's going to take you 45 days. And it's really tricky, where you have two countries. Your visa is ticking on one end, and it starts ticking on the other end as well. So we had to make a decision. He said, you know what, take a ferry, go to South Korea, and there's my mate. She's going to sort you out, then you can decide where to go. So this is unplanned country, South Korea. We took the ferry, went around, and there we organized a flight for the bike. We flew all the way down to Perth and down the southern coast. By this point, we've got, that's the Great Ocean Drive with Nala. This is just amazing. Absolutely beautiful. However, the bad weather just hit on us, so we decided to go inland to Brisbane. And then later on, a few weeks later, we went to Sydney, basically, following the coast. And the last leg of the journey was New Zealand. We managed to finish both of the islands, north and south. Guys, you have to go to New Zealand. If you've never been, that should be your next destination. You cannot go wrong. You don't need a map. It's just, it's going to be a hill, and you're going to climb the hill, and you can bet with your life. The other side, the view, is going to be amazing. We did every single time. So we finished both of the islands. We're sitting back in Auckland. The quarantine regulations are quite tricky if you're entering or leaving Australia, New Zealand, because of the wildlife and the fauna. So I started to clean my bike again, preparing the bike to leave. All the paperwork was in place. In Los Angeles, they've been expecting my bike, and I was actually about to organize the flight, the cargo flight. And then I was cleaning the bike, and there was a radio behind me. Blah, 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 Wuhan city, blah, blah, blah. Back in 2007, I was working in Wuhan. We haven't even considered listening to the news. We didn't care, because it was so beautiful. Everything was vast and open, and you've been just hiding for weeks. We started to listen to the news, and as it turned out, from that food market, something started, and I was at that food market. Believe me, I wasn't surprised that something started from there. However, we realized that the situation was quite serious, because now we have, the borders were about to shut. We have 5 days to get ourselves sorted. I mean, get 2 tickets. Sorry, option 1, stay in New Zealand, wait until the COVID dies. Option 2, regardless, carry on to the USA. One idea is worse than the other. And then the third one is to call it the end. Rescue, basically. Took the flights for both of us, flying all above Siberia, Asia, back to London. Whereas the bike actually did finish the round-the-world trip, because the shipping company I found, the guy put it on the vessel, and it's been traveling through the Panama Canal. So the bitch finished it without me. This is why I'm not going to sell it. So this is basically a quick overview of the trip. And the other thing I was going to talk about is how is it started. Obviously, we took the red pill on one of these presentations, either here or in Horizons Unlimited. All of these people, you can see it here, either been talking to, either been read the book, seen the film, the inspiration, it was just coming. And since I had that motorcycle, I had my partner willing to come with me. I was fortunate enough to be in a financial situation where I can afford it. We just decided to go. So the next part is going to be my idea of what is going to make you a traveler. And purposefully, I didn't use the word a good traveler, the best traveler, a nice traveler. No, a traveler, because I learned a lot. So I started asking myself, you know, I do remember beginning of the trip, the first few days, maybe the first week, we were traveling from Switzerland to Italy. We arrived to Lake Como. Up there it was really cold. On the same day, we traveled from 4 degrees down to 26. It was brilliant. Lake Como, beautiful area. And we stopped there and we kind of just sat down after a few days of continuous riding. And I do remember that all of these people I've got the inspiration from, they always do something on the bike. They fix things and they you know, they're looking after the bike. So I want to be a traveler as well. I should start doing something to the bike. And I started adjusting the mirrors. They're not working ever since. It was completely pointless. So me being a traveler, I find myself in situations where I actually felt I'm a traveler, which I'm going to get to a bit later on. But I started to ask myself, is it going to be your destination which makes you a traveler? Technically, logically, yes. However, you can, if you have a nice destination, you can fly there, have a coffee and come back. Is this gonna make you a traveler? Well, maybe a tourist. So I think this is not a destination. I met a guy, I was living in southeast London, I met a guy who just bought a 125 motorcycle and went to Brighton and back. And that joy on his face talking about that short little mini trip he did. He was a traveler. We didn't go far. It wasn't a particularly interesting place to visit. It was just his trip. Is this going to be your bike? Oh, after a long way down and a long way around, I was like, without this bike, you cannot be anyone. You cannot be a traveler. No, you need to have a 1200 GSA BMW. Nah, I'm going to show you some pictures. Nah, forget it. It's not your bike, definitely not. Is this your partner? This is a tricky one, because I do believe, unless you're riding solo, it does really matter who you're traveling with. Stephanie made her best, went beyond of everything to keep me in one piece, keep us in one piece, keep the trip in one piece, and it was really necessary. I wasn't gonna do half of these things, or like I was gonna do it a different way without her, so I cannot thank her enough. But still, probably not your partner, because you can ride solo if you want. Is this going to the places you visit along your way to your destination? Yes, getting there. I'm not talking about the beautiful pictures of the waterfalls or like nice temples and such things. I'm talking about it's pointless to count how many places you visited. You're not going to be a more traveler, if you like, if you visit more places. You need to be at those places. So not necessarily the places. And yeah, my favorite, the dramas. Because, as I said, I started, doing things around the bike because, oh my God, it's going to break, it's going to fail. No, it won't. But not the bike, but things on the bike, they will. And if you're in a deepest trouble, you're going to realize that traveling comes with dramas, and these become my favorite parts. So if I'm going to leave for any trip anymore, which I'm planning to do, I just can't wait to break down. I just cannot wait to break down, because as soon as you break down, you jump right into it. You're in it. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. But none of these, from my perspective, this is not the way you have to think about traveling. And I'm not trying to be really wise here. This is my view on it. None of these things, not at all. What is going to make you a traveler is, please work, is this. The people you're going to meet, the people you're going to interact with. I would spend as many pictures you can see, as many times, 45 minutes talking about what happened and where did we meet and in what circumstances. Believe me, this is the most important slide of all I'm going to show you, because these people made my trip a trip of a lifetime. So it's always about people. Interacting with people it's always okay, and it's kind of normal-ish as long as you're happy. You have something to eat, your bike is up and running, everything is fine, everything is going according to the plan, right? And then you're going to reconsider the definition, the meaning of interacting with people as soon as you go down, or your bike is going to go down. And this is my first example of what happened to me. This is the ferry crossing from Azerbaijan to Kazakhstan, and we just randomly met, like a few motorcyclists. That's me, Stephanie, Damien, the guy in a 4x4. This is the captain of the ship. He just, I don't know, invited us to the engine room and showed us around the bridge, and it was just brilliant. A German girl, Lea, traveler. The two Belgian guys, please remember them. They're going to play a really important role in my story. And a Polish girl, she's been hitchhiking. It was a really nice like a group of us. So as soon as we arrived to the port, obviously we are motorcyclists, set off and started traveling. We started the first night in Hotel California. How ironic. Beautiful place inside, this is just brilliant. Outside, it was kind of a contrast comparing to Azerbaijan and Georgia, and more like European-ish sort of way. Arriving to Kazakhstan, that was something. We started, we started traveling all together. Then later we realized that the two Belgian guys, they actually want to go mad. They just one up with the specified suspensions and whatnot for off-roading. So they said, okay, let's have a coffee together. We're gonna go this way and you do what you want. Hopefully we will meet later on. So that was the last picture of them before all the things. So this is where the ferry goes, and this is the beginning of Kazakhstan. If I would guess, I would say this is like 180 to 220 something kilometers. It's not much, considering that this is the 9th biggest country of the planet. The other side is like middle Siberia. That little lag we've done is nothing. And we were there, and the dashboard, the computer told me that I'm losing air from the rear tire. All right, let's have a look. So I asked Steph to get off. I said, honey, sit down, lay back, enjoy the show. I know what to do. I'm very, very prepared. Nah, it was a structural damage. So that was like, I'm not sure if you can see that, that's a little sticking out bit from the tire. This is like a 5 centimeter long rip inside, and doesn't matter how much glue or that sticky thing you have, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And as you can see, the landscape is like, interesting, you know? But the very first few minutes, you're not even going to realize what's going on, right? So I tried to fix it. I had my pump with me. I pumped it up. 2 minutes later, it's flat. All right, it's not going to happen. So we decided to place the bike on one side of the road, all the luggage on the other side, so either direction we're going to be visible, because we need somebody to help, desperately. This is a different angle of the landscape. So that happened on a Friday, and we spent the night in the desert somewhere over there. This is roughly like 10 o'clock. It's already like 40 degrees. That was dangerous. And you know what? We did have some water. Interesting psychology, right? As soon as you're in trouble, and as soon as you know that your water supply is limited, you're going to get really thirsty. And that guilt in your mind when you take a sip, oh my God, this is the water we need. And the more you drink, the more you want. That was bad. That's the two bottles of waters we have. The bike with a little shed. So I took the tent apart and used all the tarp and stuff because it was getting really hot. So later on, okay, that was a Saturday. The other side of the road there is just a port, and on the weekend there are no ships. There's no reason for anyone to travel this road. So it was like a double trouble. Apparently, there was like a lorry driver stopped. We used the translator, offline translator, like told him sort of what happened. He said, yeah, right, I'm gonna head that way, because that was no reception at all, like zero, nothing. He said, I'm gonna travel that way, I'm gonna find reception, I'm gonna talk to somebody, hopefully somebody's going to come and rescue you. I was like, all right, this is finally happening. This is the miracle all these people on these presentations are talking about. That you're going to be saved, you're going to be okay. And they, oh yes, give me some water. Yeah, now we're getting solid. Unfortunately, nobody came, nothing happened. I'm 100% sure that this is not the fault of this man. This is just a situation. I'm 100% sure, because he did not mean anything bad or anything to harm with. So later on, this guy stopped. So up to the point where we were promised that somebody's coming, we were like staying like this. But we stopped. And this guy just pulled in without us stopping him or without anything, by himself. Not speaking a single word of common language, haven't even used my phone. He just saw us and he knew what happened. He asked me to remove the rear tire. And this is where Stephanie came into the picture. Because try to imagine yourself, middle of a desert, a really bad situation, already getting hot, limited water supplies, the bike is incapable to move. It's not going to move. And you can try, but it's either the rim or the bike is going to get damaged really badly, so you can call the trip. The only solution is to get help. I was pointing at the back of the pickup. Can we put the bike on it? Nah, forget it. And the only solution is to, somebody's going to stay with the bike, and somebody's going to go with the tire. And you're going to put yourself into the arms of a complete stranger. I said, no, this is not going to happen, forget it. And Stephanie was the one standing up saying, Aron, use your brain. We're not going to get anywhere. This is the only way. I'm going to be fine. Leave me here. That was a really rough and hard decision, but at the end, I left her in the desert for 6 hours. She had no idea whether I'm going to come back at all, whether I'm going to come back in 10 minutes or like the day after. She's been just sitting there with a bike without a real tire, waiting. I cannot even imagine what happened. I mean, how did it go for her? It must have been terrible. In the meantime, I had quite fun. This guy's been driving 100 kilometers one way. Found a vulcanizer shop, like fixing the tire. He paid for the tire fix. He didn't allow me to pay. Then he just disappeared, came back with 2 coffees. I'm like, Nikolai, I would like to contribute. I would like to. No. That was all his English. No. Spent like an hour or 2 waiting for the guys. They managed to get the tire off of the rim. They put a patch inside. They installed it back together. Off we go. the deal was that he's going to leave me at the marketplace where the taxis are running. He's going to organize a taxi for me because he need to travel further down towards where, the direction we came. The next thing is that he threw a watermelon on my laps and said, "Go." I said, "Where are you going?" "Nikolai, taxi." "No taxi today." So Saturday, no taxi today. So he's been driving all the way back with me, with my tire. Been waiting until I installed the tire, mounted it, got it sorted, and then he done the roughly 180 kilometers again. So at the end, this is one of the last pictures. The bike is in the background, like quite sort of loaded. I'm using the translator. I was typing, "Nikolai, do I owe you anything?" He took the phone, started typing for 20 minutes. I'm like, "Oh, come on. Did I, is this something wrong I did or I said or what is happening?" Because his face is like, even if he's happy. So you didn't know what's going to happen. And he handed the phone over to me. And guys, I swear, that was a miracle I didn't collapse crying. So the message was, "Aron, the only thing you can do for me is you're going to stop for other travelers along the road. Because those will learn the way how to help, and they're going to go further, they're going to stop for somebody else, and they for somebody else, and one day, your help is going to come back to me." I was like, "No, you're joking. No, you cannot leave me here without me giving." No. Shook hands, jumped in the car, full gas. And that was the last time I seen him. He didn't give me his phone number, didn't give me his address. All I know is this Nikolai. And I can't thank him enough. And this is the first miracle. This is what makes you a traveler, in my eyes. Unfortunately, when we arrived, the tire didn't survive. So the second thing, the morning after, I took the tire, just sat down in the dirt and started aimlessly, walking around and sitting here and there. And this guy just stopped in front of me. Like me sitting in the dirt, smoking, probably drinking as well, looking like a homeless person. This guy stops. "You okay, my friend?" That was all his English. "You okay, my friend?" I was like, no. "What happened?" Pointing at the tire. "Oh, jumped in a car." He spent the whole day carrying me around, right? We visited all the markets, all the car part shops. Everyone he knew ever seen a motorcycle, we've been there, asked them. Nobody. Because of the size of the rim, the BMW rim size. We ended up at Uncle Lesha's Auto Moto Hostel. This is a place you can leave your bike when you're leaving the country or your car, and this is how the interior looks like. This is downstairs. Believe me, the loft was a bit worse. And he told me that, go into the loft and help yourself. So we went up to the loft and found a tire. A traveler left there 8 years ago, ordered with a puncture. That was the only tire would fit on my rim. And his friend standing next to me saying, it's going to be a rip-off. It's going to be a rip-off. Prepare yourself. All right. Uncle Esha told me, I can't remember the Kazakh money, but it was like 2.5 euros. I was like, here's 5. Like, come on, please do some more rip-off because I'm happy to pay for it, right? And even that guy just saved us, sort of, because that time, okay, we started traveling. Instead of heading towards the Aral Sea, which I would really love to see, on these tires, it's never going to happen, especially that the front is still road tires, so forget it. So we had to follow all the tarmac roads up north to the Russian border and carry on. That was the only way to survive. Even on these roads, I had to pump up the rear tire like every 40 minutes. It was quite of a hassle. Whereas we arrived to another big city along the way, and that was like on Instagram we found a motorcycle group, and I contacted them. I was like, oh, we've already been aware of you. I'm like, how on earth? We've already been aware of you. That's really good that you contacted us. Come here and there, we're going to sort you out. And they did. They sold me a tire, a BMW tire. And they had all the workshop and what everything you want to ask for when you're in trouble, they had it. And they were happy to share it with you for free. This is amazing, guys. Carrying on. It's not the picture before, this is a different one. So actually, we did have intercom and we stopped using it. Because sooner or later you're going to get annoyed or you're going to start annoying your partner. Because there's nothing to... We've seen a tree and then the next time we stopped for a cigarette, there was something to talk about. And this went on for weeks. I mean, no, not for weeks, maybe a week and a half, like 10 days. Yeah, the roads are not always ideal, especially not if you have a road tire on the front and a shit tire at the back. So that was kind of a struggle sometimes to get through. This is Aturau. Again, on that tire, I mean, this is like the second tire from the bike group. I still needed new tires, like lovely ones. And in that country, Kazakhstan, it just does not exist. You cannot, the only way to order it is to order it from abroad, from abroad. So I found a shop who they've been selling a few motorcycles and they had like snowmobiles. I was like, okay, that's the closest I ever going to get. And they just saw me, they actually kind of spoke English. I told them what happened. They opened up, they shut the shop. They opened up all the meeting rooms and everything. We sat down, a PC in front of me, PC in front of them, send me a picture of what did you find. I'm going to order it for you, don't worry, don't worry. I was sorted in one afternoon. The new tires been ordered into Nur Sultan, which is the capital. The only thing I had to do is to get there, right? The road was pretty much the same as you've seen the two pictures before. I thought it's pointless to put more pictures because all of them look the same. Kazakhstan is like the tabletop. It's beautiful in its own way, but it's just pointless to put it on the screen. We made it to BMW Astana. By the way, by the time we left from Horizons Unlimited, it used to be called Astana. By the time we arrived, it's called Nur Sultan. So your GPS telling you that you're heading towards Nur Sultan, and you've seen the signs. There is no such thing as Nur Sultan. It's just a capital, don't worry. Anyways, we got the bike sorted. The two new Mitas tires went on, and this was the guy helping to organize everything within the workshop. So this was the first thing, where quite long, like that was like I don't know, almost like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks of drama, and after that, when you actually can breathe normally again, I learned of myself. I tend to overthink and over worry. You know, as long as the bike is fully okay, I'm going to sort myself out, and I'm going to be okay with my partner. I just learned, if my bike is not happy, then I'm not going to be happy. And this was the point that, yes, I can be happy again. Okay, fast forward 10 days, right? 10 days. We left Kazakhstan from over there, went up to Russia for the reasons I mentioned, you know, the borders, and we've been approaching from Altai Mountains. This is a favorite place to be, number 2 after New Zealand. If you ever can get anywhere close to Altai Mountains, please do. They're beautiful. I mean, we came from the Alps and we thought we'd seen everything. Nah, forget Alps. No, this is beautiful. Anyways, if you enter Mongolia, you have 3 options, right? This is Ilgi, the main starting point. The southern route, which we plan to take, because here, this is like pretty much the Gobi. You can get the taste of it, right? The northern route, which is more mountainy, but not as Mongolia as you can see on travel videos, which we were looking for, and the middle road. Well, we made it up to Altai, where travelers coming from this way told us that, for the love of God, do not ever think going this way, especially pointing at me, too up with all the luggage, because the wind direction sort of changed or something like that, and the tarmac is covered with sand knee deep. Please don't. Find a different solution. So this is where the point, we went to Uliastai and to the middle route, okay? So this is where the next part of the presentation is going to, where that happened. Arriving to Mongolia. This is here, the main road. Brilliant. I mean, if you have the right tires, you can actually enjoy it. And I was really delighted to be there. I mean, look at the landscape. This is what you do in Mongolia. There are roads, but if there are no roads, then you make one for yourself. You do not need a map. You need a compass. Basically, in the morning, you took your compass. Oh, you see those two mountains like slightly touching the valley? Yeah, this is where we go. Right, turn off everything and just head that direction. The soil is like really hard. It's not loose. There are sandy bits here and there, but you can ride into the horizon whenever you want. It's just brilliant. And the same thing for camping. Where are we going to sleep tonight? There. And you're going to sleep there. That's it. Brilliant, brilliant. Wherever you go, this is Ogi, the first main city. Wherever you go, it's either us or the bike. I'm assuming both. It's always going to attract attention. Locals are always going to be around. This was the camp where we regrouped with the two Belgian guys, if you remember, from the ship, right? We started to travel together. A little bit of a maintenance. So they had those yurts, they did the tents, and one of them was missing, and that was the only place where you can actually put your bike up and start working on it. So this is what we did, using our own tools, but we did carry everything what we needed, so it was pretty much okay. Leaving Ilgi, again, locals always around, really nice people. Nobody ever touched anything on my bike. In 10 months, almost 50,000 kilometers, I haven't met a bad person. I haven't seen a dark face. Nobody ever touched anything. Nothing was missing. And I'm not particularly, tidy. Things hanging off and nothing. It's just people, wonderful. Started traveling on the main tarmac road towards the Gobi Desert, right? And we met these locals. Like, this is a ridiculous 125 or 150 Chinese piece of crap. I mean, if you walk closer, you see that the only reason it's not falling apart because it's full with cobwebs, honestly. And look at all these people who are sitting on that bike. That's a whole family. And they had a flat tire or something. Yeah, the pump wasn't working, so we stopped, pumped it up, installed everything back, and this is how they said goodbye. How beautiful is that? Went to get the taste of off-roading a little bit. It wasn't the best idea, however, I will never regret that. This is some Mongolia, in the middle of nowhere. Out of sudden, there is going to be somebody on a horse. And it's just going to appear and going to scare the shit out of you from you. But they're lovely people. They want to take selfies, they want to sit on your bike, they're going to ask you to jump on their horses. Just wonderful, honestly. Yeah, this is really important, not because of the joke that I've been helping another traveler, it's because it's important to mention that at this part we've been almost like out from Siberia, well, technically not, but like a big chunk of Siberia has been covered, and 2 liters of water, 2 liters of petrol, and I've never used it for the bike. The GSA has a particularly big tank, 33 liters. It gives me like 300 miles easy, even with that load. But the point is, even if you have a smaller bike, you can get through without carrying shitloads of petrol with you. It's not a problem, honestly. There's petrol everywhere. everywhere, wherever you go. So, let's start the drama. This was the day 100. This is just a little GPS tracking device I built myself for the bike. It's telling me how many days I've been traveling. So day 100, that were the two Belgian guys, Frank and Mark. That was the guy Fabian from the previous slide. You know, a big group. It was like, oh, let's celebrate Aron and Stephanie. 100 days on the road. This is already with a drama behind. This is something to celebrate. So we fully loaded the bikes. We've been carrying the potato. The other guy's been carrying the vodka. So the plan was to gather in the evening and cook together and have a big party. We left from the hotel on the 4 bikes, 5 of us. And that was the day where we met the traveler and said, if you care about your life, you're not going towards the Gobi. So this is where we turn north. And this is how the road looked like. How many of you recognize that pattern on the road? The washboard. Okay, I'll show you what happened. So basically, the 4 bikes together, we couldn't travel because I felt so sorry for my bike, rattling on these roads, and we were 2 up, so much slower than the others. So we decided that just to let them go, and they did. They left us alone. Later on, we joined back in, but what happened is they went off. We've been traveling alone, and later on, 2 of the 3 bikes were coming towards us. What happened? Mark's bike, the suspension just went off. Like the rod, everything is just off. That BMW is not going to move anymore. They waved down the track. They put it on a car. They put it on the way back to the city where we left from, Altai. So that was like only 4 of us on the 3 bikes. So this one, Frank's bike, and Fabian's bike. And Frank, actually, he's a really well-experienced guy on a Beamer. And he offered me the help. Listen, Aron, I'm going to take your bike with Stephanie, and you should try mine. I might be able to get a bit, tempo. Because the slower you go, the engine is going to overheat the more. Like, all right, let's just swap. And every 10-15 minutes, we stop next to each other. You're like sitting on a bike and looking down onto your bike and having this conversation. You're like, okay, oh yeah, brilliant. And then he stopped next to me, kill the engine, smoke, kill the engine, it's smoke. Me talking about my bike sitting on his. So basically the main suspension released all the oil. All the oil went on the exhaust pipe. It was top, bottom, everything just went. This is not Frank's fault whatsoever. This was the road. This was the load on the bike. Okay? But this is what we end up with, and I was really afraid that if I'm going to torture the bike more from this point, we're going to get closer to the point where I have to call the trip off. I didn't want that. I wanted the bike to be in one piece. I was hoping for a miracle to happen again. But there are miracles, of course. It did happen to me, but not the kind of miracle you're expecting, right? So we were in the middle of the conversation what to do, and we heard that noise. Oh, something's approaching. That was a massive big lorry and this small one. And we convinced the driver, wife, and there was a 3rd person in there that was full with watermelons. We convinced them to make some space to the bike and start carrying us to the north, where there is tarmac. So that was the ZIL, the old Russian lorry. This is where Stephanie was sitting in, and this is where I was spending the rest of the day. We broke down 9 times all the way through. So once, this thing started to release smoke here and there, and the batteries were exploding, and my car especially, that was quite comfortable at the beginning. And we stopped a few times because something from the rear axle, something wasn't sound right. Every time we stopped, that's my driver and his toolbox. I mean, honestly, a toolbox. He was fixing the thing. Every time we stopped, the bottle of vodka went around because they do have some road regulations on tarmac. Lucky for Mongolia, there are, all the roads look like this. So this is the main road here. This is my driver. I had enough of the vodka. This is his friend removing the rear tire, and these are the brake pads. I'm going to give you a few minutes to digest this. He installed the tire without these, and he said, "Davai, davai, we're going, we're moving." I'm like, without the brake pads. Brilliant, brilliant, honestly. The end of the day, we arrived to their place. Frank and Fabian went way ahead of us. We met in the hotel. We asked them to drop us down in the hotel. They did, so we regrouped. There was nothing to celebrate, honestly. The 100th day, drama number 2, just about to start. This is Uliastai, the place we wanted to go, because we asked people, is there tarmac? Yes! 100 meters that way and 100 meters that way. The answer is yes. The problem is you, not asking what kind of tarmac. Where is it coming from? Where is it going to? Is there tarmac? Yes. Perfect. And then that was the road leading out. Like, there were no roads. There used to be, and they dug it all up because they're refurbishing it or rebuilding it. And there are no secondary roads like dedicated for a detour. You find yourself a road, river crossings and whatnot, on a broken suspension. I have to say that I was lucky enough. The spring was in a place, right? It did hold everything together. It was just not absorbing shock. That's it. But we still managed to find a few people on the road. That guy had a flat tire. I used my little pump to sort him out. They were really thankful. They gave us some food and water and whatnot. Beautiful people. So we eventually found tarmac, and we started traveling together towards Ulaanbaatar, the capital. And once you have tarmac, even if you're worried about your bike, you're going to be fine. Mongolia is a place to go. Beautiful. Especially the canyon. We found these evergreens, supposed to be, which they're changing color and throwing their leaves. And it's just, I've never seen this before. I mean, look at that gorge. Look at the canyon. It's out of nowhere. It's pretty much flat like a table, and all the mountains, there are always mountains in the background with snowy top. And out of sudden, you almost drive into this thing. Wonderful. So this is Karakorum, the formal capital of Mongolia. We stopped just to quickly visit the monastery, and we're heading towards still Ulaanbaatar. This guy, we just stopped for a coffee. This guy ran to us, shook hands, and he told us that he's the captain of the police station in New Delhi. He's the head of police of New Delhi. Aaron, here's my card. Whenever you're in trouble in New Delhi, give me a call. And you know what? Whenever I'm going to call him, he's going to remember. Brilliant, brilliant. Eventually we arrived. The place for travelers, for motorcycle and overland travelers, is like the eastern side from out from the city of Ulaanbaatar. A beautiful little camp, and you know, my problem still was not sorted. And Frank arrived to his destination together with Mark. The two Beamers, so they about to fly back to Belgium, and the bike is going to be crated and be transported in trains or whatnot. And during one of these conversations in the morning, Frank came to me saying, listen my friend, I'm willing to help you, because I bought the Volvo's shock absorbers, front and back, especially for this trip. And I do have the original BMWs at home. I'm happy to swap. And you can carry on my professional things, and being in a crate doesn't matter what's installed on my bike. So it will be agreed on the price after he asked permission from his wife, obviously. He's got permission, he sold me the thing, and this is how we spent the day. Stripping. Have you ever been trying to strip these things down? Holy moly. Look at that. Eventually we made it. And ever since, I'm using those shock absorbers, and I'm not going to give them to anyone. Happy ending, the bikes got sorted. Unfortunately, Steph was feeling a little bit ill. She decided to stay at the camp, but I went to see the Genghis Khan monument just as a test ride. And ever since, the bike is in one shape and it's in perfect condition. Final thoughts, because I think we're already over in a little bit. You know, I would like to start with the last one. If I did it, then anyone will be able to do it. Okay, I know, hold your horses. Financial things does take, it costs a lot. But it more takes your mental state, your mind, the way you think rather than your money. I'm talking about the mental part. If I did it, then everyone should be able to do it. Because you do nothing but you being happy in the morning, start the engine and ride off every single morning and just keep repeating it. It's like going for a 2 weeks trip. At the end of the 2 weeks, you arrive back home, or end of the 2 weeks, you're in Siberia. What is the difference? Just carry on, just go. Sit on the bike and go. Yeah, 1.5 years, almost 2 years of preparation. That was the hardest bit, to leave. Got feelings. Never came across any bad situation. We've seen tanks and stuff like that around Armenia, in between Georgia and Azerbaijan. But even the soldiers were like, cool. But gut feeling, if it doesn't feel right, don't go there. It's just trust it. Trust strangers. You've seen my example of what's going to happen if you're going to start, believe and trust a stranger. You have to do it. You're going to be in a position where there is no other choice and you're not going to regret it. Make friends. That's the outcome of the second drama, with the shock absorbers. Really, if I did it, anyone else will be able to do it. Just get up and go. Thank you so much.